March brings a start to daylight savings time, which is one of the times each year you're asked to change the batteries in your smoke detectors. As our Rosanna Silva-Minnick explains, it's also one of the times each year the Health District asks you to check and update your emergency preparedness kit.
Emergency preparedness. It's a phrase often used in the media. But what specifically should it mean to you and your family if you wake up one morning to find the community facing a natural disaster, major infectious disease outbreak, or something as simple as a gas main break, which requires you to evacuate your home on short notice? Americans have lived through 9/11, Hurricane Katrina, the H1N1 pandemic, wildfires, torrential flooding, drought, rolling blackouts, industrial chemical accidents, the list goes on and on. However, your daily life is much more likely to be disrupted by an emergency, not a full-blown disaster. And here is the difference.
The difference between an emergency and a disaster is simply an emergency happens with us all the time. There are emergencies every day in our community. There could be fires, there could be flooding, but what makes it a disaster is that it has overwhelmed our resources. That's what takes it from an emergency to a disaster. So if you're prepared for an emergency, you've got your plan, you've got your kit, you're prepared for a disaster.
The truth is that no single person, government agency, or plan can prevent emergencies nor full-scale disasters. What we all can do is be better prepared, whether we're called upon to evacuate quickly or find shelter in a safe place.
Following an emergency, I think it's really important for our citizens to understand there's a little acronym called YOYO. You're on your own. And I think a lot of people really are not getting that, even to this place where we've been talking about emergency preparedness, disaster preparedness, how important it is to have a plan, to have a kit. You can get this information in a lot of different places, but they don't understand that one of the reasons they really need to have that, the biggest reason that they have to have that, is because really you're your own 911. You are on your own following an emergency. And if you're prepared for an emergency, you're prepared for a disaster.
This doesn't mean responders and help won't be coming, but that takes time. And depending on whether you're dealing with an emergency or a disaster, you should be prepared to be able to look after your family and your pets for at least 3 days, possibly up to a week. Schools and businesses also need to be prepared.
The mantra that we've been using, and the whole county, and in fact the whole country has been using, is to be prepared. Get a kit, make a plan, stay informed. So this is the message that we try to get across through our websites, through literature that we hand out, and through community outreach programs.
Part of our mission at the Health District is to protect the residents and visitors to Southern Nevada from public health threats. And we, in conjunction with a number of area agencies, work continually to improve and develop plans for emergency and disaster preparedness. But we need your help.
So we encourage every household to have on hand, for at least 3 days, a gallon of water per person per day. That includes pets. You should have a gallon of water for your pets as well. You should have some food on hand, things that you've stockpiled. And make it particular to your family, things that your family likes. Take advantage of sales that are happening. You'll see them all the time in the paper. 3 cans for $1 or 5 cans for $1. Buy those and use what you need, and then stockpile 2 or 3 of them. Make sure you have a way to communicate. If the telephone lines were to go out, do you have a cell phone? Do you have a way of charging your cell phone if the power goes out? They do sell separate chargers that don't need electricity and can charge your phone up for an hour. Do you have a radio that runs on battery? You should always try and have on hand medication, especially prescription medication, at least 3 days worth, that if something were to happen and you weren't able to leave your home, that your prescription medications are there. We should have pet food on hand. Keep some cash on hand. Not a great deal, but keep some cash on hand. ATMs don't work if there's no electricity. And try and keep your gas tank half full. Another important issue is important documents for your family. Your deed, your insurance policies, if you have a listing of your physicians, of your medication, and keep those things current in a waterproof container.
You need to check the contents of your kit regularly so that it's always current and ready. Medications can expire, batteries get old, and by the way, shouldn't be stored inside the device they're intended to power. Documents may need to be updated. You get the idea? That's why we suggest you check your emergency kit twice a year when you change your clocks. Some of you, particularly those on limited incomes, expressed concerns that creating a kit was too expensive to do all at once. And so, in response, there's information available on our website or in booklet form free of charge at the Health District, which outlines a plan to help you build and manage a kit over time, spreading out the cost. Take the time to make an emergency kit. You'll help us to help you.
You have to be able to take care of yourself for at least 3 days and let the people go about and help people whose lives are in jeopardy. That's the primary concern after an emergency or a disaster. So if you can take the onus off the emergency people to come and help you because you're already well prepared, you're way ahead of the game. And you have for your family and for yourself a good sense of security that I'm okay for a couple of days. Maybe I don't have power, maybe I don't have water, but I have everything to make up for that, and I'll be okay for a little while. And that's what we want everybody to be able to say.